They don't use heaters, but Amish families sleep warmer than you all winter long. The cold truth most people never figure out. Here's something that should make you stop scrolling. Outside, it's well below freezing. The wind is cutting through the walls like a blade. There is no furnace. Humming. No electric blanket. No thermostat to nudge up at 2 a.m. And yet, somewhere in rural Pennsylvania, a family is sleeping so deeply, so comfortably warm, that they won't stir until sunrise. No groaning radiators. No electricity bill shock in January. Just silence, warmth, and sleep so solid it would make a grizzly bear jealous. That family is Amish, and what they know about sleeping warm in brutal cold is something modern comfort culture erased from memory generations ago, not because the knowledge was wrong, but because it was replaced by something you had to plug in. Here's the kicker. Their system isn't primitive. It's actually layered, engineered, and in many ways confirmed by modern sleep science. When you strip away the electricity, what you are left with is something almost elegant in its logic. This is what most people never see, because they've never had to think beyond the thermostat. Welcome back to Prepper's Survival Blueprint and Gardening Tricks. Today, you are about to learn something truly old that feels completely new. The feather bed that changed everything. Start with the foundation, literally. What an Amish family sleeps on is the first layer of a system, not just a mattress choice. The feather bed, not a feather pillow, not a down duvet, a feather mattress topper, thick, dense, sometimes weighing close to 40 pounds, stuffed with goose and duck feathers and laid directly on top of the regular mattress. This creates something your foam mattress can never replicate. Air pockets. Thousands of tiny, trapped pockets of still air, sandwiched between you and the cold surface below. Your body heat gets captured in that layer and held there like a warm envelope all night long. Now, why goose and duck feathers specifically? Think about what those birds do in winter. They sit on frozen ponds and lakes and don't freeze. Their feathers carry natural oils that repel moisture. Each individual feather has tiny interlocking spines that trap motionless air in microscopic chambers. Still air is one of the best natural insulators that exists. It doesn't conduct heat away from your body the way metal, concrete, or even memory foam does. Nature built this insulation system over millions of years of evolution, and the Amish simply borrowed it. Some older Amish households sleep on feather beds that have been in the family for more than 50 years. They describe them getting softer and more effective with age. That's not nostalgia. That's physics. The feathers compress and conform to your body shape over time, closing the cold gaps that a newer bed still has. Compare that to a synthetic foam mattress. It feels fine at first. Then it slowly conducts the cold from beneath into your back. By 4 a.m., you've shifted 3 times and pulled the duvet tighter, and you still can't figure out why you feel cold. The feather bed underneath you has already solved that problem before you even close your eyes. The layering system that beats any blanket you own. A feather bed alone doesn't get you through a Pennsylvania winter. What goes on top is equally important, and the Amish approach to layering is almost militarily precise. It starts with the base layer against your skin. Most people assume cotton pajamas are the smart move, comfortable, breathable, familiar, but cotton does something dangerous in cold conditions. It absorbs moisture from your skin and holds it there, pressed against you like a cold, wet cloth. That moisture is your enemy. It wicks heat away from your body continuously. The Amish use wool as the first layer against the skin. Wool absorbs moisture but keeps it away from your body. It breathes. It regulates temperature passively. Sheep have been wearing this technology for millions of years without a single software update. There's a reason mountain shepherds in medieval Europe never froze to death in their sleep. They slept in wool, full stop. Then come the blankets. Not 1, not 2, sometimes 4 or 5, stacked deliberately from lightest to heaviest. This isn't about weight for its own sake. Each additional blanket creates another dead air chamber between you and the cold above. Still air again. The same principle as the featherbed below, but now working from the top down. You're essentially building an insulated cocoon of trapped warmth. The top blanket, often a heavy quilt made from wool or thick cotton batting, can weigh as much as 25 to 30 pounds. That might sound a bit extreme, but, research has actually confirmed what the Amish already knew. Gentle pressure during sleep really does improve sleep quality. It reduces the time it takes to fall asleep, and it actually increases the depth of that sleep. The modern weighted blanket trend is honestly just the Amish quilt, rebranded and sold at a premium. Now here's one detail that most people never notice. The blankets are made deliberately oversized. This isn't a sewing error. The extra fabric is tucked completely under the edges of the mattress on all sides, sealing out cold air at the perimeter. No gaps, no drafts sneaking up around your ankles, no waking up because half the blanket has migrated to the floor. The weight anchors everything in place. You could roll all night and nothing would move. The rock that heats your bed for 8 hours straight. Even the best blanket system starts out cold. You need some initial heat before the insulation can really do its job. And the Amish solution to this problem is so effective that, honestly, once you hear it, you'll wonder why modern life stopped talking about it. Soapstone. Not granite, not ceramic. Soapstone. This specific rock has a mineral composition that's unlike most other stones. It retains heat roughly 3 times longer than ordinary rock, and releases it steadily and slowly over many hours. The Amish discovered this property through generations of practical observation and, material science has since confirmed it. Here's the routine. About 2 hours before bedtime, a block of soapstone goes onto the wood stove. It sits there, just soaking up heat the way a lizard absorbs the afternoon sun. When bedtime arrives, it gets wrapped in an old flannel cloth and tucked between the sheets at the foot of the bed. The feet. Not random. Your feet are actually the control center for your body's thermal comfort. Cold feet send a signal to your brain that something is wrong. Blood vessels constrict. Muscles tighten. Your nervous system goes on low-level alert. You lie there and wonder why sleep just won't come. But warm feet? Your whole body gets the all-clear. Blood flows freely. Muscles relax. Your brain shifts into rest mode. The soapstone releases its heat slowly and consistently for 8 to 10 hours. That matches almost exactly the length of a full night's sleep. Compare that to a metal hot water bottle, which loses most of its heat within 2 hours and is stone cold by morning. Some households keep 2 soapstones rotating, one in the bed, one back on the stove. Wake for the bathroom in the night, swap them out, fall back asleep immediately. And here's the detail that sleep researchers find genuinely interesting. As the night progresses, your body temperature naturally drops as part of the sleep cycle. A warm stone that gradually cools mimics that natural rhythm almost perfectly. It's not fighting your biology, it's working with it. Modern science discovered this rhythm and invented supplements to hack it. The Amish were already living it. The strategic bedroom you never thought to build. Even the best sleeping system fails in a poorly positioned room. This is where most people make a silent, invisible mistake and blame the cold on everything except the real cause. The Amish don't place bedrooms randomly. They treat room placement the way a chess player treats the opening move. Heat rises. Everyone knows this. But most modern homes fight that physics with mechanical systems rather than simply using it. Traditional Amish homes are built so that bedrooms sit directly above the main living area and the wood stove. The floor above the warmest room in the house becomes a natural radiant heating surface. No electricity, no ductwork. Just gravity and physics doing exactly what they're supposed to do. Interior bedrooms beat corner rooms every single time. A corner bedroom shares 2 walls with the outdoor cold. An interior bedroom is surrounded on 3 or 4 sides by other heated rooms. The cold never gets a direct path to you. Some families cut simple vents into the floorboards. Small metal grates that allow warm air to rise naturally from the room below. No fans, no forced air, gravity handles everything, room size matters enormously too. Traditional Amish sleeping rooms are small. We're talking 10 feet by 10 feet, sometimes less. Modern builders would call that a storage closet. The Amish call it efficient. A sleeping human generates roughly 100 watts of body heat. In a small room, that heat stays with you. Two people in a small room can raise the ambient temperature several degrees simply by breathing and sleeping. The room becomes part of the insulation system. The bed goes into the corner against the interior walls, never against an exterior wall. Exterior walls radiate cold from outside. Interior walls stay warmer because there's a heated room on the other side. One more habit: the bedroom door stays closed all day, allowing the room to accumulate and hold warmth. It opens briefly before bedtime to let a fresh wave of warm air circulate in, then closes again. Simple, effective, no moving parts. Why what you wear to bed matters more than you think. Positioning only helps if you don't lose heat through what you're wearing. And this is where the Amish have a detail that most people find surprising. They take sleepwear very seriously. Flannel, long nightgowns reaching the ankles, long underwear covering everything from wrist to ankles, wool socks, and yes, a sleeping cap. A real nightcap, the kind your great-great-grandparents wore and that modern culture turned into a punchline. Before you laugh, consider this. The head is a significant source of heat loss during sleep, especially for anyone with thinning hair. A simple felt sleeping cap costs almost nothing and plugs that heat leak completely. The logic is no different from wearing a hat in winter. The only difference is the hat goes on at night. Flannel is not just a soft fabric. Its surface is brushed and raised, creating thousands of microscopic air pockets directly against your skin. Each one traps a small layer of warm air. Wearing flannel is essentially wearing breathable insulation. It works the same way the featherbed works below you and the quilts work above you. Trapped, still air. Here's a trick many Amish families use that sounds small but matters enormously. Sleeping clothes get hung near the wood stove about 20 minutes before bedtime. You put on warm clothing instead of cold clothing. That initial warmth carries you through the critical first 15 minutes under the cool covers, when most people shiver and struggle to settle. By the time the bedding warms up around you, you're already comfortable. Fit matters too. Loose is better than tight. A tight garment pushes the fabric right up against your skin and, well, it eliminates the air gap entirely. But a loose garment, it actually maintains that gap, and that gap is doing some real insulation work. Some families even go further and sew flannel sleeping bags for elderly members. That's like a full-body envelope of warm fabric that moves with the sleeper and, honestly, eliminates cold spots entirely. The fire that burns all night without anyone watching, that's the real trick. All the blankets and warm rocks in the world, they're pretty much useless if the heat source dies at 2 in the morning. This is where Amish fire management becomes, well, a true skill, passed down through generations the way a craftsman passes down technique. The key is a concept called banking the fire. It means loading the wood stove with the largest, densest logs you can find, and then restricting the airflow so the fire burns slowly rather than hot. A banked fire doesn't roar, it just kind of smolders, it glows, and it keeps doing that for 8 to 12 hours without anyone adding a log. Hardwoods are essential here. Oak and hickory, those are favorites because they're dense. Dense wood holds more energy per log than soft, fast-burning woods. Hardwood coals, they hold heat long after the visible flame is gone. One good oak log burned slowly through the night produces far more sustained warmth than, say, 3 softwood logs burned hot and fast. Timing matters too. The fire gets stoked about 30 minutes before the household goes to bed. The goal is for the house to hit peak warmth right when heads are hitting pillows. Too early and the stove starts cooling before morning. Too late and the family goes to bed in a house that hasn't fully warmed yet. Here's the counterintuitive part. Ash is your friend. Modern stove owners clean out every trace of ash because they think it looks better. The Amish let ash accumulate during the winter months. A thick bed of ash beneath the fire acts as insulation. It holds heat from below and slows combustion, which means the fire burns longer and more steadily. The cast iron stove itself becomes a heat battery. A 300-pound iron stove doesn't cool quickly. Long after the last flame dies, it continues radiating warmth into the room. Some households assign bedroom locations based on heat tolerance. Elderly members and young children sleep in rooms closest to the stove. Healthy young adults take the rooms at the far end of the hall. Nobody complains. It's just practical. The warm drink trick that makes you fall asleep faster. Even with a perfect fire and a perfect bed, there's one more layer to the Amish sleep system that, well, modern science has only recently started explaining properly. The warm drink before bed, not as a comfort ritual, as biology. When you sip something warm, your core temperature rises slightly. Then, as the warmth dissipates, it drops. That drop is the trigger. It's the signal your brain uses to shift into sleep mode. You're essentially tricking your nervous system into beginning the sleep process with a cup of tea. The Amish have been doing this without ever reading a research paper about it. The choice of drink matters enormously. Anything with caffeine is strictly off the table in the afternoon and evening. Caffeine blocks adenosine, the chemical your body slowly accumulates throughout the day to make you sleepy. 1 cup of coffee in the afternoon can delay the onset of sleep by hours. The Amish understood this principle, not through chemistry but through generations of observing what actually worked. The preferred drink is warm raw milk with a spoonful of honey. Milk contains tryptophan, an amino acid the body uses to produce serotonin and melatonin. Honey helps shuttle that tryptophan into the brain more efficiently. Together they function like a gentle natural sleep aid that tastes like dessert. And the warmth of the drink dilates blood vessels in the hands and feet, sending blood to the extremities and warming them before you even touch the mattress. Timing matters here too. About 90 minutes before sleep is ideal. That's usually enough time for the warmth and the tryptophan to work their magic. But not so late that you're making, a bathroom trip at 3 in the morning. The ritual itself becomes a sleep trigger over time. The brain learns the pattern. Warm cup in hand equals sleep approaching. You start winding down before you even finish the drink. Now, let's talk about shared warmth and the physics of sleeping together. 2 bodies are always warmer than one. The Amish understood this in a completely practical way, long before anyone called it thermal regulation. Children share beds in most traditional households, not out of poverty, but out of wisdom. 2 children sharing a bed generate enough combined body heat to raise the temperature of that sleeping space by several degrees. It costs nothing. It requires nothing. It simply works. Sleeping position actually carries real thermal logic. The spoon position creates maximum surface contact between 2 bodies and, well, maximum shared warmth. Back-to-back still shares the thermal benefit, while giving each person a bit more personal space. Elderly couples who have shared a bed for decades often synchronize their movements unconsciously, finding each other in the night without waking, and creating small, efficient heat zones without any deliberate effort. For those sleeping alone, a well-filled hot water bottle takes the role of the second person. Placed in the bed 20 to 30 minutes before sleep, it pre-warms the space. Some households keep 2 bottles in rotation, one warming by the stove, while the other is in the bed. And in many households, the family dog actually earns bedroom privileges in deep winter. A dog's normal body temperature runs between 101 and 102 degrees Fahrenheit. That is a living, breathing heat source that asks only for a small corner of the bed. Sealing out the cold is, honestly, a bit like a military operation. All the warmth generated inside a bedroom is worthless if cold air is seeping in through a dozen small gaps you never thought to close. Cold air is sneaky. It'll find every crack, every gap, every overlooked seam in a wall or window frame. The Amish treat draft sealing with serious intensity. The first tool is deceptively simple: draft snakes. These are fabric tubes, stuffed with sand or rice, laid along the base of doors and across windowsills. It sounds crude, but it works completely. A door that seals well at the bottom eliminates one of the most common cold air pathways in any room. Thick curtains hang from ceiling to floor over every window, and they're not just for decoration. The fabric actually creates a dead air pocket between the cold glass and the room. That pocket of still air acts as a buffer layer, really slowing the rate at which cold bleeds through the glass and shan. The larger and heavier the curtain, the more effective it is. Even small gaps get stuffed with cloth scraps, keyholes, gaps around electrical boxes, and that little space where a door doesn't quite meet the frame. On a windy night, any one of those openings can create a mini wind tunnel that drops the room temperature faster than you might expect. Some families go as far as pressing plastic sheeting inside window frames during the coldest months. It looks a little rough, sure, but it actually replicates the effect of double-glazed glass by adding a second barrier and trapping an air layer between them. The floor gets a thick rug beside the bed. Bare floorboards are cold, there's just no way around it. Touch cold floors with warm feet, and your blood vessels constrict, your whole body tenses, and suddenly you're wide awake when you should be drifting off. The rug is the last line of defense on the ground level. Bed canopies or curtained four-poster frames get used in some households too. This ancient tradition, visible in medieval paintings and period homes, creates a smaller enclosed airspace around the mattress. Your body warms that small volume of air much faster than it could warm an entire room. The canopy catches and holds that warmth directly around you. The body clock they never broke. All of this physical preparation means very little if you're fighting your own biology, and this is where the Amish have an advantage that no product can replicate. They never broke their natural sleep rhythm in the first place. Bedtime in most traditional Amish households falls around 9 p.m. That sounds impossibly early to anyone who stays up past midnight watching screens, but the body wasn't designed for midnight. When the sun sets, the brain begins releasing melatonin naturally. Every hour you fight that process with artificial light, especially the blue light from phones and tablets, is an hour you're actively suppressing your own sleep chemistry. Research has shown that screen use before bed can delay sleep onset by up to 90 minutes. That's, an hour and a half of lying there in the dark, your brain wired, unable to settle, just wondering why the sleep won't come. The Amish never encounter this problem because, well, the problem never existed for them. Darkness means sleep. Their bodies learned that lesson and never unlearned it. Physical labor does the rest. Spend a day doing real physical work, hauling, building, planting, fixing, and your body doesn't politely suggest sleep by evening. It demands it. That kind of physical tiredness produces deep, restorative sleep, the kind where you wake up genuinely refreshed, not still exhausted. Research actually distinguishes between sleep depth in physically active people versus sedentary people, and the difference is, honestly, substantial. Consistency is the invisible multiplier. Same bedtime every night, same wake time every morning. The internal clock becomes so reliable that most Amish households wake before 5 a.m. without an alarm, not because they're disciplined in some performative way, but because the clock is simply set and stays set. The average modern sleep schedule, by comparison, shifts by hours between weekdays and weekends, constantly resetting and confusing the body's rhythm. The bedroom itself stays sacred. It is for sleep, not for reading, not for watching, not for scrolling. The brain learns associations quickly. Walk into a room where you only ever sleep, and drowsiness follows automatically, like a trained response. That association is one of the most powerful sleep tools that exists, and it costs absolutely nothing. What this means for you, right now. Here is the honest truth about everything you just learned. None of it requires a barn raising or a move to rural countryside. The principles work anywhere. The feather bed principle is available from any quality bedding supplier. A soapstone bed warmer can be found with a basic search and costs less than a month of electricity. Flannel sleepwear costs almost nothing. A draft snake is a fabric tube filled with rice that you can make in about 10 minutes. The layering system, the room positioning, the consistent sleep schedule, the pre-bed warm drink, the phone-free bedroom, every single one of these is available to you tonight. What the Amish built over generations isn't just a collection of quaint habits, it's a complete, coherent, beautifully logical system for staying warm and sleeping deeply without depending on infrastructure that can fail, cost a fortune, or simply not exist when you need it most. For preppers, for homesteaders, for anyone who wants to cut the electricity cord a little further, this is the blueprint. The old ways didn't disappear because they stopped working. They disappeared because selling people a thermostat was easier. Now, you know the difference, and knowing the difference means you can choose. Stay warm, sleep deep, and as always, stay prepared.